he'd have the discipline to lay off something that was maybe 2 inches off the black, where he could have hit it, but it wasn't what he wouldn't hit it where he wanted to hit it. And, to have that level of just imposing your will on an opposing pitcher. Oh, that's a good line. I don't mean to toot my horn. That's a good line.
Hey everyone, welcome into another episode of Rip and Riff. I'm joined today by Tim Ryder of Metsmerized. Tim, say hello to everyone.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me, man.
Tim, so you've been a contributor for Metsmerized for how long now?
Started as a contributor ahead, I guess, in the 2017 offseason, going into 2018. And I've been there for going on this would have been my third full season. And I was made senior writer there not this past winter, the winter before. We have a podcast there, Simply Amazing. That's been kind of taken off. And having a really good time with it.
That's awesome. I'm a big fan of Simply Amazing personally.
Thanks.
Just finishing up the Resnick episode you just did.
Yeah.
A couple days ago, I heard the Dennis Cook episode, and that one was great. And I got to say, that one resonated with me because the Dennis Cook era was like my maturing as a Mets fan and growing into it. So that one really hit home for me. And you do a great job with those. So I mean, keep it up.
Thanks so much, man. Yeah, Dennis was really a great guest. Very in depth. Did not shy away from giving honest answers, and that's just an interviewer's dream. But it was certainly fun. And I was 17 or 16 in the summer of 2017 by the time the World Series rolled along. But that's certainly it was a good time to be a Mets fan, and it was a fun conversation to have.
Absolutely. So I guess what drew you to Metsmerized in the first place, or how did that opportunity come to you?
I was writing for originally I was writing for Eyes on Isles, which is part of Fansided, which is like a blog network. And from there, that's hockey. I moved over to baseball. I was writing about the Padres for Friars on Base. The Padres are my second team, for those of you who might not follow on Twitter. Have been for a long time, but we'll get into that. Another part of the discussion. But Mike Mayer, I guess he put out an open call for they were adding contributors at MMO. And I reached out. I sent him some sample work, and they brought me right on. And really, him and Joe D. He's the the head executive editor there. Mike's the executive editor. The editorial team. Everybody's just been so cool. A lot of the writers and a lot of the editors are either in journalism school, graduated journalism school. So there's a lot to learn for someone like me who's just the average Joe with just a lot to say. It's been a learning experience. It's a team mentality, and I think we embrace that, and we certainly have fun with it.
That's awesome, and I mean, keep it up, man. What you've been putting out there, huge fan. Thanks. You and the entire group. I mean, I've been. I think I was stealing Metsmerized like images for my MySpace page when I was in high school. So like, there's a history there, and
awesome.
I'll continue supporting.
Oh, that's so cool. I hope Joe hears that. He'll be psyched. He's so proud because, I guess the site's been up since 2005. So, this isn't a flash in the pan. And Joe's, he started this thing, and he's very proud of where it's gone. And we're happy to kind of keep on carrying that torch because there's been a lot of great writers there before us. And, we try to do the right thing and kind of respect the ones who came before us. It's really a fun place to express our thoughts, and the freedom is another great aspect of it. Just a plus experience from my end.
Awesome. And if you do see this, thank you.
All right.
So what we have here today is we each have a box of Panini Prizm from 2019. So Panini is obviously big in the card world with basketball and NFL. Some people aren't as big a fan of their baseball products because they don't have the team licenses, so they have to strip team names and all that stuff from them. But they are licensed by the Players Association, so they obviously still get to use real players. Personally, one of the reasons I like to support some of the Panini baseball products is because I feel like the money is going all to the players that they pay in licensing and stuff like that. So that's, I think, a positive for me. So how long have you been like into cards, and you are active on what I'll call the hobby Twitter, card Twitter. So what's your history there?
Well, I got into baseball cards very early on as a kid. My uncle collected whatever my dad had left from when he was a kid. Me and my brother kind of just devoured that. We had a collectible store right around the corner. So, every lawn that we mowed, every time that we did something around the house and got a few bucks, it was right to the card shop, right for cards. So we had quite a collection. As we got older, at that kind of, your interests change. I kind of left it behind. And then in 2012, Hurricane Sandy hit Long Island, and whatever collection I had, we lost. It was in the basement. It was up on shelves. We said, I'm like, this is going to be perfectly fine. We're never going to get 3 feet of water in the basement. The basement filled up like a bucket, right to the top, right to the ceiling. So lost everything. And I guess my youngest daughter was born in 2010. So, of course, she was too young at the time to really know, but she kind of got into baseball. My oldest daughter, not so much, but she grasped it as a young kid. And I guess I had a few cards laying around, stuff that wasn't down there, and she took an interest. So I started picking up stuff here and there. She really enjoys the Inception, the Topps Inception, the magenta parallels. So we got a bunch of those, and I probably just got carried away. Once I started getting cards for us to share, I kind of fell back in love with it. So I would say it's been like maybe 18 months, 2 years since I really started collecting again. And I'm having a blast. Like, this is more fun. This is more fun than it should be. Like, cardboard has just become more fun to me than, a lot of other things. And in a healthy way. Like, in this hobby, you kind of have to know your limits. And with the way that prices are going on, certain products and certain hobby boxes and stuff like that, I got kids, I got a family, we got bills. I can't spend $400 on a hobby box. So, I try to find my wins in like little value packs or a single on eBay or something like that. But really, it's a thriving hobby. It's been a lot of fun to get back into. Really having a good time.
That's awesome. And I'm super thrilled for you that you're able to share some of that with your daughter and, have those connections as well.
Yeah, half of me thinks that she's just trying to appease me. The other half, like, you can tell there's a genuine interest there, but she's 10, so there's plenty of time for her to really grasp that organically.
Oh, awesome. Well, and you want to just kind of jump right in? What we'll have in here is 5 packs plus a bonus pack of the purple parallels. So maybe she'll be into the purple if she's into the magenta from Inception.
That's what I'm thinking. Dude, this is actually my first box of Panini. I've never opened a box of Panini.
Oh, wow. Well,
yeah.
I am flattered that I get to share that experience with you.
Yeah. I'm really generally sticking to baseball, or I have been. I actually just purchased my first basketball box, and that's from Mosaic. So yeah, I'm certainly excited. And you sent me this. I guess I got this earlier this week. So I've been kind of staring at it. I tried to hide it, and then I saw it, and I said, "Oh man, maybe I can't wait to open this thing." So I'm definitely excited to jump right in. You want to do the honors?
Sure. We'll save the bonus pack for last, and
okay.
Start with pack 1.
Excellent.
All right. So I've got Chris Archer, Corey Kluber, starting off hot with the Mets, Wilson Ramos.
All right.
Out of him.
The Buffalo.
And, Miles Straw rookie.
That's a nice card. I think he's going to be quite a player. I have a Miles Straw auto sitting somewhere, and I'm just waiting for him to really make a mark in the majors.
Oh, yeah. I think he's got some talent. Thoughts on Houston aside.
Yeah. No, yeah, and I really, I try not to hold it against some guys who are now coming up or were young players in that clubhouse because, what are you going to speak up? You're a new guy in the clubhouse. You're fighting for a very lucrative job that many, many, many other players will slide right into your spot. Like, look at J.D. Davis.
Yeah.
What is he going to do? Say no?
Yeah,
and rock the boat. No, that could have been career suicide for him. But he's just proof that you can come out of that and still kind of turn things around and do it on your own merit, because he's really doing that right now, or he was.
absolutely.
Hopefully he gets back to it soon. All right.
Love JD. Love him. I like when the Mets got him. I was actually really excited. And
Oh
I'm
yeah.
glad he had the season he had, and I look forward to seeing what else he can put together.
Oh, for sure, man. His advanced metrics are just off the charts. All right, let's. This is the first Panini pack. Let's give it a rip. I like the guy on the back. All right. We have Miguel Sano. I'll try to turn that around for you. There we go. Miguel Sano. Framber Valdez.
Not too familiar with him.
I believe he's a swingman for Houston. I'm not sure how much time he's seen, but let's bump through it here. Jose Martinez. He's with St. Louis here. I believe he's in Tampa Bay now.
Yep, I think so.
364 on base percentage. That is a nice stat. And Austin Meadows.
Okay, that's a good one.
He's gonna be a stud. This looks like to be some sort of refractor.
Okay. Is it the red color that like Miles Straw was?
Yeah, it is the red. Yeah, is that a refractor on top?
Let me take a look here.
I think it is. It definitely shines differently than the other. I'll give everybody a look at that.
It is a red prism parallel. I don't know if they use the same refractor terminology.
There you go. But really, these are gorgeous cards. If everybody take a look, that's just a sharp card. Corners are nice. Centering doesn't look to be any sort of issue. That is just gorgeous.
They do a nice job. And like I said, I think one of the reasons their basketball product is so popular is because they do such a nice job. Their baseball is just, in my opinion, very underrated. But it's underrated because the cards don't say Mets on them, and you don't see the Mets logos or any other team logos on them.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a nice card's a nice card.
Oh, sure. It's that's a fun aspect of the hobby. And I never really thought about the aspect you brought up before, how the Players Association gets all the proceeds from this, and that's a very, very cool little wrinkle. That never even crossed my mind. I focus on tops. I never thought about that side of it, and maybe that might change my mind moving forward.
Well, I tell you that my favorite product that Panini puts out is Diamond Kings. I've got the 2020 hobby box on pre-order. That'll show up sometime end of June, early July. Kind of going back to like the childhood aspect of this. That was the one that when I hopped on my bike and rode to my local card shop, I was buying up Diamond Kings left and right. That was my thing. I just really liked the cards looked like art. Like it had a canvasy texture, looked like a painting. I'm like, these things are just really, really cool. So that is kind of the one set that I always loved. Obviously, when Donruss, I guess I don't know the full details, but Donruss folded to an extent. Panini bought up the assets, so now Panini's putting it out. Either way, I'm happy the set's still out there, and I continue to support it all I can.
That's awesome. Speaking of art on cards, have you gotten into Topps Project 2020 at all?
You know what? I have, and any people who've watched enough of my videos know that I like to do giveaways, and the giveaway for this video may or may not have to do with Project 2020.
Hey, spoiler alert. All right.
All right. So you brought up JD Davis. Have you had the chance to like interview with him or interact with him at all, kind of in your time with Metsmerized at all, or is it just kind of watching from afar?
No, Rob Pearsall, who's he was an editor at Metsmerized for a long time. He spoke with JD Davis. I believe it was at a fire department. They were doing some sort of I guess it was an appearance for the fire department in the community. And he sat down with Rob, and I really had a lot of nice stuff to share. He seems to be a very in-depth interview. He's really not, not really he's not afraid to answer the question.
That's good.
He certainly grasps, I guess, the statistical side of things. So he's not afraid to answer a question about advanced stats or analytics or metrics and stuff like that. And just when he puts the barrel on the ball, it's an exciting time, and hopefully the Mets really did find a diamond in the rough there.
Oh, absolutely. All right. So you want to move on to pack number 2?
Let's go.
All right. So I have Danny Jansen.
Nice. That's a rookie card, right?
Rookie card. Yep. If you haven't checked it out, I did interview one of the Blue Jays prospects, Jake Fishman, for my last one of these.
Oh, nice.
One of these. He brought up Jansen as one of the guys that he really enjoyed his brief amount of time in the minors with. So that rung that bell for me. Lindor.
Cool.
Pretty good. Adam Kolarek.
Yeah.
And then here's one that I wasn't expecting. 150 reward point redemption for Panini Rewards. So we'll set that aside.
How far does 150 points take you?
I'm not sure because I really haven't paid too much attention to Panini Awards. I do have an account with Panini because of one redemption I got years ago. One thing I'll give them credit for is I bought an old hobby box of, I think, Golden Age, and I got a redemption for a Tommy Hearns boxing auto. The thing was like 2 years expired, but I sent it in, and they sent me the damn card. Like, God
that's awesome.
That was awesome. But that's why I have a Panini account, and I haven't really paid much attention since. They are doing something really cool on the basketball side with sneaker cards. They're all one-on-ones with players, and they're part of the Panini Instant line, which is kind of parallel to Topps Now. Mm-hmm. So basically, they just take a big chunk of the sneaker, put it in a card. I am keeping an eye out for any Jordan 1 cards that they put out there, like regardless of the player, just because I'm a big fan of Air Jordan, specifically the Jordan 1 is my favorite sneaker. So I'm keeping an eye on those too. But I have to check out and find out how much 150 points will get.
Yeah, I'm curious. And I grew up during the Jordan era, so it's so funny to see the popularity just kind of never really fade on Jordans. Everybody loves them. Everybody still loves them. The combination, again, we're talking about things coming out and they're not what they were. They're art. Jordans are art now. People are just going so many different directions. I'm a Air Force One. I'm a Nike Air Force One man myself, but
nothing wrong with that.
But I love the Jordans. I enjoyed the 13s. Those are my favorites.
Oh, those are a good one.
All right, so who do we got? I got Whit Merrifield.
Okay.
Excellent bat to ball contact hitter. Right up there with Jeff McNeil.
Absolutely.
Chris Archer. I guess I have a Brilliance. It's an insert. Corey Kluber.
Okay.
That's cool. And I have a blue. This is a blue parallel for Miguel Sano. Oh, okay. Let me move that down. And really, just very sharp cards.
They do a nice job.
Yeah, really, these corners are perfect.
So, obviously, you were impacted by Hurricane Sandy and that tragedy, and the terrible situation. But thinking back to do you ever think about cards that you had that you would like to maybe try to reacquire at some point if you kind of stick with this hobby a little bit?
I've done that a couple of times already. So the first card that kind of got me into collecting cards or into the hobby was the 1987 Barry Bonds, where he's got the yellow Pirates helmet and he's, I guess, probably just 3/4 complete with his swing. It looks like he popped it up. He's looking straight up in the air. But I knew, when I was a kid, this is when he was still with the Pirates. I kind of latched onto him. We saw him play against the Mets, me, my brother, and my dad, and you could tell that he was just an otherworldly talent. And, we all kind of became Barry Bonds fans. My brother, to a more extent than I. But, that was one. And once I got back into collecting, I started getting 87 Topps boxes. And, of course, I pulled a couple out. I got a McGuire in there that actually got a PSA 10.
Oh, nice.
And, even with the 10, it was worth like $10 a month ago. Now the thing is shooting up. It's like $30-$40. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. That's going to have the Last Dance effect. Once that documentary drops, I think it's going to spike.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't be shocked. But, these are things I hold on to. I found the guy up the block from me, he was moving in, just some guy. And he asked me if we wanted to help him just get a couple of things off the truck. He wasn't in great health. I said, sure. So I overlook in one of the boxes, and he's got a bunch of 86 Topps traded. I believe it's 86 or 88 tops traded. And I pulled a couple of Griffies. I pulled a couple of Randy Johnsons. One of the Griffies has a little water damage on the side, but like, you know, I think old cards are definitely going to make a comeback.
Oh,
as long as they're like PSA 9s, PSA 10s, you know, I think there's going to be a market for them for sure.
Definitely. I think like the junk wax era, like obviously like it was because they just produced a metric ton of it. But so much of that has been damaged, neglected, thrown away because there was that period of time where it was worthless. So you're going to have that window where, you know, the stuff that stuck around is in good condition. It's definitely going to have, I would agree with you, like a resurgence in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, sure. You would hope so because, you know, it's part of the history of the hobby. And you would hope that the industry kind of learned their lesson, and it appears they did. You know, the whole advent of refractors and numbered cards and parallels and, you know, making autographs a true chase. And it just, you know, it's great. Bowman, you know, they're doing what they can right now, and they're certainly taking advantage of the demand.
Absolutely.
But when $150 hobby boxes are floating around for $400, it's you know, it gives any collector pause because it's like, well, what's going on here?
Absolutely, but you know, to an extent, I personally, I think Houdini, the breaker, like said it pretty well on one of his videos. Said, I'd rather have a hobby that's thriving and people that are being, you know, that are so interested that there's an unfortunate group being priced out versus a hobby that is dying and like no one's interested in it. So it's that double-edged sword where once it thrives, some people are gonna like some products are gonna be priced out, which like Transcendent is one. I'm in no position to buy Transcendent anytime soon, but I certainly enjoy watching the videos of people who can afford the, you know, $20,000 box.
Oh, that's the silver lining for sure. And on the you know, Houdini, Phil Hughes. There's even just like breakers that I follow on the hobby Twitter. You know, guys like Mile High Chuck, Cyber Owl Cards, First Pitch Mitch. He does monster hits. Really, it's just, you know, there's a lot of really fun, really affordable ways to enjoy the hobby. If you're not in the category of going out and buying $400 hobby boxes of Sapphire stuff, like it's you know, I made a couple of bucks on the first 3 Project 2020 cards that I got, or I shouldn't say the first 3, but 3 of the Project 2020 cards I got. And you know, I paid some bills and I bought some cards and, you know, kind of reinvest and have some fun. Like, that's what this is about. People getting upset because they can't afford a certain product. Well, then you got to adapt. Like, you know, you can't go out and I wish I could do box wars with Phil and blow $1,500 on cards. I wish. I can't. And, you know, I accept that, but I still find ways to enjoy the hobby.
Yeah, and I think you put it perfectly there. So, yeah, with you 100%. Speaking of fun, what have been some of the more fun projects, articles, anything you've worked on with Metsmerized that really sticks out in your mind as far as this was an absolute blast?
Oh, man. You know, the podcast has been so much fun. Speaking with some of the Mets beat writers who've had some really cool insight that just as a blog site we don't get without the access that they have. We really wouldn't have a lot to go off of, at least during the season and during a regular off season and stuff like that, because they have the access. So, you know, hearing what they have to say, that always carries a lot of weight. Being able to tell them that we appreciate what they do is another very, very big plus. You know, speaking with former players, Dennis was fun. You know, anytime that we, as a site, get the chance to break some news, which we rarely do. Like, you have guys like Mike Mayer, who, you know, he has a couple of sources because he's been doing this for a very long time, and that just kind of comes with the territory. Jacob Resnick, who has his finger on the pulse of the minors. You know, even Jack Ramsey, who was the first to break that Carlos Beltran was going to be hired as the Mets manager last offseason, albeit for a very short tenure. You know, we landed that one. It was, you know, those are the high points, is when we get recognition. And I know Ken Rosenthal from The Athletic has pointed out a couple of times that we've got the lead on something. Ernest Dove over at Mets Minors got information on the draft a couple of weeks ago, so he was right up there. It's a joy to get those little victories because, you know, as a site, we work so hard for it.
That's awesome. And again, like, you guys do a great job, and nothing but support continued moving forward.
Thanks, man.
All right. So pack number 3.
Pack number 3.
All right. So I have a base mile straw.
Nice.
Chris Bryant.
Superstar.
Pretty good. I'm actually really excited. I am. Short story. In 2015, I got my hands on a 16 by 20 photo of Chris Bryant, Joey Gallo, and Corey Seager at the Futures game.
Oh, cool.
And they were all in AA that year, and I was living in Texas at the time. So I was within driving distance of basically all of their AA teams. So I got Joey in Frisco, Texas. I was able to get Chris Bryant. And then about the end of the year, I was able to drive to Oklahoma City and get Corey Seager on it. So I had all 3 of them on this photo. And then I spent 5 years hunting down their debut ticket stubs.
Nice.
And it's at the framer now, just kind of getting framed up. And I'm really excited for that to come back. It took me actually 5 years to get that last ticket stub at a price that was reasonable, in my opinion. Like, I could have bought it early on for like $100 to $200, but I said, I'm not going to do that at this point. When I can get them for, you know, $20 to $30 a piece, I'll invest. I was at Joey Gallo's debut. That was actually a lot of fun. So he's kind of like your Bond story. I watched Joey Gallo in the minors and make his debut, so he's kind of stuck with me as a personal favorite.
On Long Island, we don't have a minor league team, so we're always kind of stuck getting either, you know, really fun, somewhat unknown, you know, independent players trying to get noticed by the minor leagues, or the guy who's out of the majors trying to get back into the majors, like Carl Everett when he came to Long Island. That was really fun.
I believe
like,
he
mashed. Oh my goodness, he mashed in the Atlantic League.
You know, the Long Island Ducks, I feel like have a interesting history with some characters. Wasn't it? Oh God, was it Offerman who just like kicked the catcher and charged the mound with the bat? Like, I mean, obviously that's a terrible situation, but like,
a
lot of those stories around that team.
Yeah, well, you know, you get a lot of bigger names coming to the Ducks because there's, you know, you're on the outskirts of the city, so you have access to all the New York City media and stuff like that. And, you know, if you have big names there, you're going to get more eyes on it or more print or however you're looking at it. So, no, you've seen a lot of guys. I know Tim Melville came to Long Island and did well for maybe a month and boom, right back into the majors. And yeah, I could go down a list. I don't have them in front of me, but there's been a number of them.
I think he did a little stint and then made it right back.
Who was that?
Rich Hill?
Yep. Was it Rich Hill? I believe it was.
I'll double check. If not, I'll edit this part out. All right.
But yeah, so, I mean, it's a. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, it's a fun conduit, and with everything that's going on with the minor leagues now, I'm sure the independent leagues are going to be even more of a hotbed for talent, just with the new influx of all these new releases that don't or can't latch on with the new major league club.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, kind of using my own personal experience. So it's funny. I grew up in upstate New York, and I heard a lot of people when I was growing up talking about seeing Derek Jeter, Bernie Williams, all these guys playing with the Albany Colony Yankees.
Yeah.
Well, by the time I was old enough to remember, that team had folded, basically, or was no longer in town, and it was replaced by an independent league team called just the Albany Colony Diamond Dogs. So those were like the first professional games I was going to, were those independent league games. And like as a kid, you know, it did not matter that the guys batting were not Tino Martinez, not Mike Piazza. Like, it was baseball, it was fun, and I enjoyed it. So I think, you know, what's happening with the contraction of the minor leagues is certainly a shame for those towns. So I really do the independent leagues step in and like kind of expand a little bit to try to fill some of that gap.
You would hope so, because you know, places like Binghamton and Kingsport, who are 2 Mets affiliates, reportedly getting cut.
Yeah.
You know, those cities love their baseball, man. I know Binghamton. Anytime I've been there, it's been a blast. Like people love their Rumble ponies, and
Absolutely.
I get a giggle from the name, but they love their baseball there, and they're I can't imagine just having that taken away. But again, hopefully there's a plan for all these cities that did have, I don't want to say thriving operations, but successful operations, and I think Binghamton was one of those.
Absolutely. All right, so I'll finish off the pack. I have a Max Scherzer Brilliance insert.
Nice.
And my last one is a Chris Bryant. It's another red, but this one is numbered. So this is 118 of 299. See if you can kind of see the pattern they have going on there. I'm not sure which pattern that is in the Panini nomenclature, but it is a red variation.
That's awesome. All right, so we have our first numbered card. Let's see what my third pack has in store. Danny Jansen.
Okay.
This is the same card you got.
Yep.
Put that up. Corey Kluber, who we've seen a couple of times already.
He's pretty good, so he should get a couple cards.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm curious to see how he does in Texas. Here's a superstar, and it's a insert. It's not numbered, but it's Lumber Incorporated, Giancarlo Stanton.
Okay.
Yeah. He's one of my favorite major league hitters. When he connects, there's not many things in baseball that can excite a fan more.
I mean, it's like Thor swinging his hammer. It sounds like literal thunder and lightning.
It's amazing to watch, amazing to hear. He's just one of my favorite non-Mets players for sure. And I have a red. This is not a numbered one, but it's a red Nomar Mazara, who's figuring to be a nice, solid piece on the White Sox this season. He went from Texas to White Sox to Chicago over the in the offseason.
Yep.
And I'm thinking he's going to be a big piece.
That team, I think, is sneaky. If unfortunately the season is in the situation it's in, but I think the next time that team gets on the field together, they have a chance to be sneaky good because between Moncada, Abreu, they've got a stacked team. Mazara's like the fifth hitter on that team, which, I mean, that's not a bad thing. I think he'll be I think that team has a chance to surprise people. Tim Anderson, I don't know how I forgot him, but that team's stacked.
Oh, you have, Giolito, you have Dylan Cease, who's coming up. You have Michael Kopech, who's coming up. Robert, Andrew Vaughn, Madrigal. I mean, this is going to be a force in the AL Central for a few years, I believe. And, it's certainly exciting.
Love it for the South Side.
Yeah, well, as a Mets fan, I certainly feel a kinship with the White Sox, especially their fan base. We've been second fiddle, you could say, at times. So most of the time, probably.
Yeah.
But when we have our moments, we certainly relish in them.
So, what cemented your Mets fandom? Obviously, from Long Island and in the New York City area, you have the choice between Yankees, Mets. What led you Mets?
My dad. Yeah, my grandfather. My dad's dad. He was a New York Giants fan, and refused to root for the Yankees when they left. During that little gap, there was no National League baseball team, and at the time that meant something. So he would kind of read the papers, and there weren't too many televised games. But once the Mets came around, we were a Mets family, and my dad and his brothers and his sisters were all raised Mets fans, and yeah, that was kind of our story. I guess I was too young to remember '86. I was born in '83, so I don't have any recollection except for watching the VHS tapes over and over again every day as a kid. That was kind of my thing. And those early '90s Mets teams. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the excitement around Eddie Murray and Bobby Bonilla and those teams, and I'm also old enough to remember the disappointment that came along with those teams. Yeah. And that kind of set the tone. And I had to wait until the late '90s for real success, and that was really fun. Or late '90s, 2000, and it's been intermittent between, but now the experience of writing for them kind of just it blows my mind still. Not for them, I should say. I write about them, But it blows my mind. Like, this is something that I've been heavily invested in since I'm a preteen, even before that, pre-double digits in age. And some of the sports writers I read when I was a kid read my stuff now, and that just blows my mind to pieces.
Yeah, I can't imagine, like, I mean, what would the conversation with your 17-year-old self watching, like, the 99 2000 teams and that just say, hey, one day, like, you're going to be, like, writing about these teams and putting content out there, and, the people, like, fans are going to watch this and read it, and, you're going to be a voice in relation to this team.
Yeah, that's still, I still, someone told me I'm an influencer, and I said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And, I'm having so much fun just sharing my opinions. And, if people know my name, that's awesome too, but that's really not, I'm just happy to be able to put my stuff out there. I said it in maybe it was an article for Good Fundies. Our friends at Good Fundies, who's a now defunct podcast, one of the best in Mets Twitter history or Mets podcast history. They were just the greatest. But I did some content for them, and it's just, it's still just I don't grasp it that I'm living out a little dream of mine to be able to do what I've been reading newspapers my entire youth. Just to be able to do it now, it's it still gives me a kick.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. You want to jump into pack number? Are we on 4 now? I think we're on 4.
Yeah. Right. 5 and a bonus, right?
Yep.
And again, I got to say how impressed I am with these cards for never having opened Panini, knowing that there's no teams on them. I really wasn't sure what to expect, but these are just gorgeous.
All right. So, I've had a run of these where I'm basically like speaking some of these things into existence. So here's Joey Gallo.
Nice.
He's pretty good too. Miguel Cabrera.
Cool.
Again, Tim Anderson. If I didn't remember, I would have been reminded. And Steven Gonsalves, red rookie card.
Nice. Steven Gonsalves should probably see some time with the Mets at some point this season. We're hoping. Oh, I guess with Syndergaard out, I'm sure everyone's going to get a shot once if there's a little inconsistency at the back end, but hopefully there's not.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully everyone steps up and things work out. They went out and got Waka this offseason, and so they've got names.
I think Waka and Porcello are really going to pull up the back end. I think Matz is due for a big season. I think Stroman is really going to take to that second spot very, very well. He's more than prepared to be a number 2 in this rotation. He was a number 1 in Toronto for so long. I really think he's ready to really thrive here. Hopefully he gets that chance. So what do we have? We got Francisco Lindor, who we've seen again. He's a superstar. We'll see a bunch of him. Miles Straw, rookie card base.
Okay.
This is a new one. Tyler O'Neill for the Cardinals, rookie card base.
Okay.
It's a very nice card. I think he's going to be quite a player. And boy, this guy could have been a Hall of Famer, but injuries just shortened his career, and it's very sad. Troy Tulowitzki, who here is on the Yankees, but I can probably count on one hand how many games he played for the Yankees. I don't know if any.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And there's a few of those players I can think of that for a brief window, you thought, wow, I'm watching like the next pick a grade at any position. I think I tweeted about Joel Zumaya a couple days ago. I remember in 06 watching Joel Zumaya, like he's a setup man now. I'm like, this is the next best closer in baseball. And he was just never the same after that one injury that he had his second season.
Yeah, and that's how volatile this market is. A guy like Tulowitzki, who, in my mind, without a doubt, had the tools to be an absolute legend in this game. But ankles and heels, and he had so many just lower body injuries, and stuff that's kind of out of a player's control. We can go down the list, and you look at Noah Syndergaard, who's had a couple of very, very detrimental injuries, the lat injury, now with the Tommy John. He's going to have to regain his regain his stature as a front end guy, and everyone knows his potential.
Yeah.
He just kind of tie it all together, and you know, I think it kind of sucks that Tulowitzki never got that chance, or I guess by the time he did get healthy, maybe that window had just passed. But boy, he was one of my favorite out of towners for a very long time. Boy, he just raked.
And to your point, like success is a combination of talent, luck, and timing in a lot of cases, and it's just some guys hit it perfectly and some guys don't.
Yeah, exactly. But just such a sweet player. Great at the plate. Excellent fielder. Yeah, really just a joy to watch.
Agree, 100%. All right, so
yeah, that's you, right? Pack 5.
Pack 5. Let's go. All right, so you mentioned that you were also like a Padres fan. How did that happen?
All right, so when I was a young kid, this is very early on in my Mets fandom. I had known enough about the team that Gary Carter and Keith Hernandez are my two favorite Mets, my two favorite players. They got released within days of each other. After the 1988 season, Hernandez moved on to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Gary Carter moved on to either LA or San Francisco, and then to the other.
I forget the order, but yeah.
Yeah, but they were released within days of each other. I was crushed, and the most telling part, the part that bugged me the most is that I'm a left-handed hitter, and I was like 6. So I'm like, Dad, I watched Keith Hernandez. That's who I watched to swing. And he's like, who's good? A great left-handed hitter, Tony Gwynn. And of course, with the Padres, we don't get any Tony Gwynn, any Padres TV on in New York. So I went to the library. I looked on microfiche and stuff like that, and I that actually led me to Ted Williams, The Science of Hitting. And, that's a whole nother conversation. But, yeah, I followed Tony Gwynn very early on. And, of course, in 98, when they took on the Yankees, I was rooting for him hard. And, yeah, I became a closet Padres fan, I guess you could say.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. And Tony Gwynn, rest in peace, one of the best talents. And, like, I don't know, top 5 hitter all time easily. Top 3 probably. Just an amazing hitter.
Oh, he could put it anywhere. He was playing pool at the plate. He could do whatever he wanted with a pitch. He could send it this way. He could put spin on it. He could put English on a pitch. Like that. That blows my mind. He was just so advanced. The hand-eye coordination was, I don't think we'll see anything like it. And honestly, and I'm not trying to. I might be biased, but Jeff McNeil, just his ability to always put the bat on the ball and do what he wants with it. It's similar. I'm not going to say it's on the same level as Gwynn, but it's that level of skill for sure.
Oh, agreed. Like Tony Gwynn, in the launch angle era, I don't think we'll see another Tony Gwynn, but you can find a couple of guys out there that have some similarities as far as like, McNeil's going to swing at the first pitch 90% of the time, and if it's within reach of him, like he's going to put the bat on the ball.
Oh yeah, and like you would think that all professional ball players have that ability, and I'm sure they do, but they're so fine-tuned that guys probably can't go chasing out of the zone and still make solid contact like some players can. Tony Gwynn, not only would he make solid contact anywhere in the strike zone or even just outside it, he would have the what's the word I'm looking for here? He'd have the discipline. There we go. Wasn't a hard word at all. He'd have the discipline to lay off something that was maybe 2 inches off the black, where he could have hit it, but it wasn't he wouldn't have hit it where he wanted to hit it. And, to have that level of just imposing your will on an opposing pitcher. Oh, that's a good line. I don't mean to toot my horn. That's a good line. It was a sight to behold. And I think his legend speaks for itself as far as, how good he was against the elite, how just he didn't strike out, just consistent for an entire career. People forget that he was an amazing athlete early on in his career. Stole as a base threat. Yeah. I'm sorry. I went off on my Tony Gwynn tangent there.
Okay. I welcome Tony Gwynn tangent. But I'll jump into my pack here. So Mike Minor.
Yeah.
Nick Williams, another guy I got to watch in Frisco. We'll see what he turns into with Philly. Whit Merrifield, scorching insert.
Scorching. I like Whit Merrifield.
I do too. I got to say, like, my favorite card that I've pulled this year, it was out of a blaster of Gypsy Queen. It was a black and white numbered to 42 Whit Merrifield auto. And I was just like, this should not have been in this box, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah. It wasn't an auto. I pulled the black and white to 50, but it wasn't an auto. Who was it? Ramirez from the Indians. Jose Ramirez.
Okay. Hey,
but yeah, I love those little blaster boxes, man. You'll find something in there once in a while.
Absolutely. All right, and my last card is Starling Marte Blue insert.
Cool. Starling Marte, who was probably more so than we even know, was probably almost a Met this offseason.
Yeah, which selfishly I would have loved to have seen it, but at the same time, I got to say I love the team that they have right now.
Oh, so do I. And I think they're very well built for a DH. If they get a season started as a DH this year, I think they'll be very well equipped for that.
Aging Yoenis Cespedes.
Anybody. Davis, Cespedes, Don Smith, Jeb Lowry, if he's still alive, he could certainly fill in that spot.
Absolutely.
All right. So I got another Joey Gallo.
All right.
Again, power hitter. It's a true 3 outcome guy. Chris Bryant. Base. The next great Hall of Famer, I believe, at least from this era, is Miguel Cabrera. Just a nice base card. And, dude, I have something here. It's Justin Verlander. I don't know what this parallel is, but it's numbered to 50. 20 of 50. Yeah. Justin Verlander.
You said it a little bit? There we go. Oh, that's awesome. Beautiful.
I don't know what that is. It looks like a hexagons. No, I don't know what that is. That's awesome. That's pretty cool, man. That's numbered to 50. That's a super short print. That's very cool.
Solid card. Glad you got that one. Verlander, I remember when people thought he was done when he left Detroit, and a guy like him who just adapted, like he did. He adapted to what he had left in his arsenal and kind of reinvented himself a little bit, and was top of the game again, which all the respect in the world for players who can do stuff like that.
Yeah, and again, I guess with the biomechanics, the advancements in biomechanics, and guys can slow down video and tell you, oh, you know what, move your thumb over an inch or put a little bit more pressure on your middle finger, and you're going to get 30 more rotations per second on your curveball. And for some guys, that's all they need to go take it to the next level. Verlander, he still pumps 797 when he wants to, which is just amazing. But again, that's all part of the process. Twist your hips at this point instead of this point, or put your front foot down here, and it'll give you an extra 2 miles per hour on your pitch. What they did with the trash can is one thing, but what they were able to do with advanced analytics, as far as translating it from a computer screen to the field, that's going to be overshadowed, unfortunately, by everything that happened, because they revolutionized the game, their organization. And I don't feel bad that they're going to be overshadowed. They kind of made their own bed there, but yeah, Verlander is just proof positive of that process.
100%. And to your point, the trash can stuff is going to overshadow what they did, but what they did on the analytics side was revolutionary in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, and you've seen it spread across the league so far. In fact, that even the Mets have accepted it, which I never thought was going to happen.
That takes a while. Investment. It's a long argument to make.
It took eons, but we are down to the bonus pack. I'm very excited to see what's in here.
All right. All the purple cards are in here. So
these are purple. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and that's the retail exclusive purple parallel. All right. So I have JT Realmuto.
Nice.
Mondesi from Kansas City. I always screw up his first name. Gabriel Guerrero, rookie.
Cool.
And oh god, another name I always screw up. Kyle Perez from Houston. Israel.
Is that CNL? CNL Perez?
Yeah. I always screw that one up.
And Mondesi is Alberto Mondesi.
Alberto, okay.
Yeah.
And that's whenever I see Mondesi, I immediately think of Raul because I loved watching him growing up. So it's like I just want to say, I just always want to say Raul Mondesi like automatically.
Oh, he was definitely a player growing up. He was little power, little speed. He was fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's see what we have.
Because he wasn't like an MVP, but at the same time, I think he put together like a 300 homer career, which is nothing to sneeze at.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. And he had his time in the game for sure. All right, so we have Whit Merrifield.
All right,
it's a nice purple for Lily. Chris Archer.
Okay.
Fernando Romero for the Twins.
Okay.
Good back end starter. And Trey Turner, who, as a Mets fan, despise him as a player, but to the point that I actually respect him. He's almost at that Chipper Jones. Well, not there yet, but
he's not there yet.
He's on the trajectory of the Chipper Joneses and Chase Utleys of the world. I just I love his game. I love he steps it up when he faces the Mets, and you kind of have to tip your cap to that.
Absolutely, and another guy, I watched him in AA too, and I can say after a game he hung out, signed autographs, took pictures, gave his like batting gloves and stuff to kids. Like, I mean, at that point, like just watching someone do that once and like basically take care of anyone who wanted to say hi to him and greet them. Like, I was a fan of him as a person from that point on. As someone whose team has to compete against him, I really hope he just goes 0 for 4 every time he plays the Mets, and he can go 4 for 4, 3 for 4 every other game in the season. That's fine.
Oh yeah, you know what? But when he comes to New York and when the stakes are higher, he's going to go 2 for 4 with 2 stolen bases, and he's going to score that go ahead or tying run, and he's going to be a pain in the ass. That's what Trey Turner does. But you have to tip your cap to him. He's just such a fun young ball player.
Absolutely, and I again back to like selfishly, he plays against the Mets, hate him, but I love that the game has a talent like that who's exciting to watch play. Just period. Exactly. All right, so I had a blast, man. Thank you for doing this. Do you have any favorite cards out of the packs we opened?
Honestly, I love the Austin Meadows. I'm a big Austin Meadows fan, and it was kind of at the top of the pack here, or the top of the stack, I should say. It's kind of been looking at me in the face every time I look over. But this Verlander, man, this thing is sharp.
That is a neat card.
That is just a good-looking card. Yeah, I want to find out what that parallel is called. It looks like a snakeskin almost.
Okay.
Get that in there. That's just very cool. Numbered to 50. And really, Rob, thanks. I can't thank you enough for having me on, for sending a box over. This has been a blast.
Oh, I'm glad you had fun. So the last thing we'll cover is the giveaway that's coming with this video.
Right.
So, brought up Project 2020.
Yes.
We also brought up Tony Gwynn. So the giveaway I'm doing with this video is the natural Project 2020 Tony Gwynn card. So when this video goes live, I'll post it on Twitter. Retweet and follow to enter. Winner picked at random after a couple weeks. So that's the giveaway for this video. I'm excited about it. Project 2020 has been a lot of fun to follow. And I'll continue to buy those cards as they come up. When you bought Project 2020, what has been your game plan there?
Honestly, I knew I kind of had an idea of what they were doing when they came out. Like, oh, cool, they're going to bring art into the game. So I only bought them. Like, I didn't buy them religiously. I wish I did. But right. I bought the ones that stood out to me, the ones that like, wow, that's cool. King Saladin has been really catching my eye. JK5 with those black and white kind of almost like pencil sketches. Just, blows my mind. Blake Jameson, who came on the pod, all of his work has been great. The Nolan Ryan was one of the first ones that I got, and that just, it's such a cool card. I got that one, the Maze and then King Saladin's pretty much anything he puts out. I buy I buy a lot of them. They're just very, very cool cards. And I try not to look at the market right now. I noticed a peak this week, and I said, okay, you know what? I have stacks of these ones. I'll move a couple, but I think I'm just going to put them away and kind of see where it goes. And end of the day, I got them for like $17 a piece. So if they don't turn into $1,000 cards, it's no skin off my back. But I'm just having a lot of fun kind of watching them just spice up the hobby. It's given the hobby more life and more steam, and it's such a cool thing.
Oh yeah, I love it. You mentioned King Saladin. So when I found out about Project 2020 when it launched, I looked at the artist list. I'm like, all right, King Saladin I'm familiar with. I'll buy his stuff. Tyson Beck I'm familiar with. I'll buy his stuff.
Yes.
And I'll buy any Mets and Griffey basically. So that was like the start. And then like Saladin put out the Jeter, and I bought a couple other Jeters. And then Don C jumped in, so I'm probably going to buy all of Don C too. And it's been cool to get introduced to new artists through this as well too. I didn't know Tyson Beck had done work with Topps before on some of the Topps Fire, I think, designs a few years ago. So it's really neat, kind of like you mentioned, like bringing artists into the hobby, and you're getting both worlds there, the art world and the card world. And I hope people learn off each other because they're both very interesting and unique.
Oh yeah. And it's funny. I was showing my oldest daughter, who's she dabbles in artistry herself. She likes to draw. She likes to paint. And I'm like, oh yeah, Blake Jamieson was coming on the pod. And she's like, Blake Jamieson with pop art? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh my God, I love that. And now, she's looking through these and she's like, oh my God, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. And she's got her finger on the pulse of society. She's a young person. So, oh, you like that one? All right, I'm going to buy that one. Like, she's my little, she's my prospector.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I try to keep the whole family involved.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. At the end of the day, if it's fun for the family, that's what counts more than anything.
Yeah, and you just, as long as you make sure that you and the mailman know to, put all the packages like on the side of the house so the wife doesn't see them, we're all good.
There you go. All right, well.
I'm just kidding. For anybody watching, Heather's very much on board. She likes this. That's not true, but she says she does.
Oh, well, God bless her.
Thanks, buddy.
Tim, thank you so much. Again, Project 2020, we're going to give that away as part of this. So, you want to plug any of the social or Metsmerized before we sign off?
Sure. On Twitter, you find me at Timothy R. Ryder, Ryder. That's all together. I just started an Instagram. You can check me out there. I'm going to warn you, I'm not going to post anything, if, maybe a little bit, but it's Tim Ryder, MMO. On Twitter, of course, you can find Metsmerized online. Just go to metsmerizedonline.com, but we're at Metsmerized on Twitter. Keep on looking out for content. Simply Amazing is out usually once or twice a week. That's Simply Amazing Pod. It's at Simply Amazing Pod, but all we do is post episodes there. You could just search for it. Anywhere you listen to your podcasts, you just pop in Simply Amazing, and that'll come up. But yeah, keep an eye on Metsmerized. Keep an eye on the pod. Follow us on social media. Once baseball gets started, we'll have a lot more content to give you guys. For now, we're just kind of doing a lot of reminiscing. We're going through some good moments, some good acquisitions. But, passing the time until we get baseball back.
I'm going to pick on you a little bit, though, if you don't mind, because I went through the Metsmerized site and looked up some of the posts you've written, and I went back to the first ones they had on there. And I want to give you 4 of the first 5 headlines.
I know what 2 of them are, but okay, let's go for it.
Matt Harvey will benefit from the magic of Mickey Callaway.
I really believe that. To be fair, I really believe that. Okay.
And that's fair. Make Zach Wheeler a full-time reliever.
God damn it. I'm sorry to cuss. I knew that was going to get me. You know what? All right, so they got Vargas, who I wasn't saying that Vargas belonged there and Wheeler didn't, but with Wheeler's profile as a pitcher, I remember this story well. Oh my God, it's been like 950 articles since I wrote that. How do I remember this? Wheeler's profile as a pitcher, really, it kind of would have played to his strengths as a pitcher out of the bullpen. He's got power stuff. He's got 4 pitches. I think later in his career, he's going to be a great reliever. Once the starting side might be done, I think as long as he still has the tools, he's going to be a great reliever. But yeah, I think I stood up for Jason Vargas there, and that was probably a mistake.
Well, the only other one that stuck out to me is like he'd probably take this back if he had a chance. Was Adrian Gonzalez might work out for the Mets.
But he had a really nice 2-week stretch in spring training, and I think during spring training, I'm sorry, maybe during May of that one season he was with us, he had a nice little stretch and he was hitting. But
he did. He did.
Yeah,
have a good
Mike Mayer pointed out, he's like, yeah, that might be a freezing cold take at some point soon. I said, yeah, I know. But we have to take our lumps, man.
Absolutely, and we'll say nothing else. Your entire body of work, I'm a huge fan of. So please keep up the great work. It's been awesome having you on. Thank you so much. Maybe we'll do this again sometime. Who knows?
And, definitely.
Most importantly, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say most definitely. I'd love to do this again.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Again, thank you so much. Most importantly, let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets. And next time boxes are on me, we'll make that happen.
All right. Thanks so much.
Buddy. Later, guys. Bye-bye.